Are we about to see a top tomorrow? Hi, welcome to the channel, and thank you so much for clicking on this video. Today, we're going to be doing some technical analysis for the SPY Qs, Apple, Tesla, Amazon, Nvidia, AMD, and Meta going forward, looking at GME and AMC as well. So we have to pay attention to a lot of things because we're seeing some behavior here that could lead us to believe there is some kind of top forming. And there's a few situations, few scenarios, how this could play out as we are approaching that weekly expected move for the SPY. If you're on Patreon, we kind of told you to look out for some signals up in this area, and we're starting to see those signals proven. So we do have a big range for tomorrow as we look into the SPY, the first stock that we're going to be covering here. We do have those daily ranges for you, and I'm going to tell you right now, this is the biggest daily range that I have seen on the SPY in a very, very long time. A lot of implied volatility going into tomorrow, so this market could be a rip around market for a little bit here. So what do we want to pay attention to? Well, the upside, 565.63 to the upside for tomorrow's daily expected move. Remember, 68% of the time we'll land in this zone, and the downside there, 557.01 to the downside. So we still can experience something crazy, some 32% chance to see this thing go bonkers in either direction, but as of right now, we should expect 68% chance to land in this zone. Now, I'm really bringing that up because right now you're at the weekly expected move, so by Friday, it makes the most sense to end below this line. That's what the percentages say, and we're already there, and it is Wednesday. We still have 2 days left of trading out there, so we're paying attention, okay? We're paying close attention. Also, I'm very sorry that I couldn't go live this morning. We really had a rough night with baby girl, and so thank you guys for being understanding. You guys know that I, as always, love to come live with you guys. I love to be helpful, and therefore, it really bums me out when I miss a live stream, but just my health in general, I wanted to make sure to be 100% for you guys going into tomorrow, but I'm still going to talk about these signals, so I appreciate it, and thank you so much for hitting that like button. As of right now, there's really two ways to look at this as we hit that weekly expected move, and we look down here at our indicators, which is, hey, we have divergence going actually all the way across this, and you can see that down here on the RSI at the same time, but now we're starting to blip up here. You see this little blip up kind of ruining those divergences a little bit. So one of the scenarios here is this divergence right here is not going to lead to a crossing down of the center line and see that turn into a negative trend. I actually think mainly one of the scenarios to pay attention to, probably the most probable scenario to play out, is we see this 2-hour curl over, we get some kind of prolonged pullback, and then we see that thing curl right back up in positive territory, and then we want to pay attention to a little bit more in the future. Seeing this MACD curl down and get some kind of significant divergence right here would be one of the scenarios to pay close attention to, but as of right now, you would say, hey, if this MACD curls over, I should treat it as a pullback, and if it starts to cross that center line, something more dramatic could be at stake here. We do have a big implied volatility, and we are going to talk about volatility later because we're starting to turn up a little bit, so we have to pay attention to that. The other way this is going to play out is, hey, look at this 2-hour divergence. Okay, if that divergence up there means something, well, that could send us lower. That still is a signal, but you don't have them at the same time. So I am more so leaning towards some kind of 2-hour pullback as of right now, and I wanted to make that very clear. But as I look into why would I think a 2-hour pullback is going to come maybe even tomorrow, is just because of how the 30-minute looks. Now, if you're part of the Patreon, we already put out that update video yesterday kind of talking about these type of signals. And this is exactly what we were talking about. Seeing this thing curl up, actually curl up on the indicator and give you that point of divergence. Very clear here. If the 30-minute rolls over, yes, you would still initially say that's a pullback, but there is divergence behind it. So you do have some good probability, as you're not too far away from that center line, to curl down across the center line and create some kind of negative trend here. And I think that's very important to pay attention to, because when you start to see this signal, you have to be aware of what's going on the 2-hour. And it looks like this may give us some kind of 2-hour pullback. Will that pullback just be on the 30-minute coming down to that daily expected move? We see that reaction up. Well, we've seen stocks head up for quite some time, and I think we're due for a bigger pullback. So we'll pay attention to that 2-hour, see if we're able to catch a bounce here, and maybe we continue that trend going on into Friday. We'll pay attention. Or what if the other side of that coin happens and we curl down by the center line and we curl back up? Well, curling up, positive territory, we should treat that as some kind of possible positive move, right? If we curl down to that move very early on in the day and that curls back up, hey, we should expect some positivity from the stocks. Maybe we're going to make some kind of triple divergence like this or some kind of double top before we actually see that happen. So make sure to manage your risk. The best thing I can tell you is to trade like water. As we go look into the Qs, what are you going to notice on the 30-minute? A very, very similar thing. Now you have the higher price action. You do see this downward movement. This is still positive, by the way. Very important to understand, this is still positive. It has not crossed over. You've not gotten that confirmation of that divergence, but you can see it's pretty close to going negative. So if we do get a brief pullback, maybe that does head a little bit higher to get to that weekly expected move, and maybe things are all said and done, and we'll actually get that pullback a little bit in the future. But as of right now, with this 30-minute signal, we have to be aware of some kind of crossing down of the 2 hour, some kind of 2 hour pullback over the next couple days. I think the couple days would be important. Now, looking at the 2 hour here, for the Qs, I just want you to notice how this divergence we were talking about on the SPY, the Qs a little bit more down, and they're actually holding it in the near price action. So if we see no more upside here, that 2 hour, even if we just see this gap up and then that fades, we could actually see this cross right away. And since we are still far away from the center line, we still would be looking for that to be some kind of pullback, okay? I want to be clear about that. You want to make sure to pay attention to your signals. If we cross that center line, sure, something crazier can happen. But as of right now, you have a pretty big move priced in. See if that's able to turn back up over time when we get close to that center line. Just a simple swing trade, which we're making that swing trade course for you right now. I know a lot of people were excited about it. So I'm going to work on it as much as possible. Gosh, my mouth, I just need a drink of water or something. I'm talking a lot. But the reason we really have to pay attention to a downward move, by the way, the daily expected moves are huge again for the Qs, bigger than the SPY, 508.38 to the upside, and we do have 497.54 to the downside. So we do have some volatility going into, or implied volatility going into these Qs. So into the tech stocks, we got to pay attention to that because we haven't seen a dramatic pullback in a while. Boom, maybe we see one right now. We'll find out. But as of right now, I just want to play the signal. See this 2 hour crossover? I know it has divergence. I just want to know it's by the center line. If that curls up, then positivity can still be there. And maybe we want to make a double top or come up to that next week's weekly expected move. And maybe that's more the time to pay attention. So just pay attention to the Qs. The one thing other than that I wanted to show on the Qs was the daily side. So the reason you still have to pay attention to that 2 hour divergence is because that does like to roll over daily charts. If we're going to see an overall daily pullback, well, we could see that happen right now. What's the problem here? Well, you do have flatness of the MACD and you do have a slightly downward move on the RSI. So if we were turning down as of tomorrow, we could see a bigger pullback on the daily scale. Just be aware of that. We know to manage our risk. And if you've taken the course, which is down there, the link in the description, you can get that course right now and know how to manage your trade based on a daily, a 2 hour, or a 30-minute. That's what we teach you how to do. And it's a very, very beneficial section. I highly encourage, even people who have taken the course, refresh yourself on it right now. Refresh yourself on it. Go take it and be like, I'm going to manage my trades for the next couple of days because I'm seeing some signals that don't necessarily look the greatest for upside. Okay, let's get into some individual stocks here. We're seeing Apple breakout to the upside. Great move from Apple. And the way that you knew this move was coming was, hey, we curled up. We got daily momentum. Good upside there happening on the daily scale. Now we're making some divergence, some flat divergences here on the RSI and MACD. Don't want to read too much into those. Why? They're very far away from negative territory. So is that going to send us into some kind of crash? It could, but the probabilities would say, hey, this is going to be tough to do that. So it most likely will see some kind of curl up. It most likely will see some kind of maybe head and shoulders if we're going to get that lower high scenario. Or this could see a brief pullback. We pull back for a little bit of time and then that curls back up positive territory. We do something like this and we curl right back up and boom, maybe we head a little bit higher, creating that clear-cut divergence point that gets us closer to that center line to actually reverse around that trend, kind of giving you a viewpoint like this. That would be more one to pay attention to when it comes to Apple. Now on the 2 hour scale, what are we looking for here? Well, the divergence that we were talking about in our video on Patreon is still there, very flat across the way. So I'd really treat this as a 2 hour pullback. If this was to complete, I would treat this as a 2 hour pullback. Now that's just because you're far away from the center line. You still have the divergence here, but you notice you're very, very overbought. And so some kind of pullback to remain healthy would make sense. And you just want to see, is that curling back up above the center line? Because if that curls up above the center line again, well, you could see another move higher. And maybe this wasn't the perfect moment for us to go down to lower levels, but maybe this one over here is, and we create a triple divergence here by that center line. So we're paying attention to reversals, but it's important to note the other side of that coin, right? What else am I saying besides this reversal signal? It's not necessarily the most bearish thing to say. I'm just saying a pullback is coming, and this is a trade in itself as well. It's just a swing trade, and that's why we need to get that course out to you for swing trading. But as of right now on the 30-minute, we're seeing some signals as well that tell us, hey, there could be some kind of reversal in trend here. We have 30-minute divergence in this in MACD. We don't necessarily have the best one on the RSI, but overall, you do have both at the same time. So that would tell me, hey, some kind of bigger pullback can come. Now, we still want to pay attention to the shortest time frame here, which would be the 30 minutes, still far away from that center line. So if we want to see a brief pullback and then that curls back up over time, just be ready to manage that risk. That's very important to understand when you're studying momentum like we're talking about here. You have to pay attention to how the market can really screw you over. And that's what we teach you in the course in that section called Managing the Trade. Okay, now Tesla, this one here, ripping and ripping and ripping, but what do you notice in the near price action? Or actually, what do you notice from the MACD here? Now we're seeing this steepness down of the MACD on the 30 minute. So that's really telling me, I think, Tesla's going to see some kind of pullback soon. It doesn't have to. It has daily momentum behind it. It's a great move, but it really looks like as you are outside of the monthly expected move, you might see that thing drop back down. I'm still expecting if we see a drop down, I'm not negative on Tesla yet by any means, but I think a pullback all the way down to 230 would make sense, and that would really clear out this 2 hour for a second. You see the 2 hour was curling over. This is kind of how you know that you're in some sort of short squeeze, is when the indicator is blatantly turning down, but the price of the stock keeps going up. And so now I think that we are leaning towards that pullback as the indicator is telling you we should be getting a pullback. So a pullback all the way back down to 230 would make sense. And you might say that's a big dramatic drop. Well, Tesla has the biggest implied volatility out of any stock besides AMC and GME for the whole month of July. So Tesla has a lot of implied volatility. It's seen a strong move. It might need to dramatically drop down just to gain some more buyers in order to make that next move higher. I'm talking about the next move higher because we are far away from that center line. So that's going to be very difficult. It can happen. I'm just saying the probabilities are that if we roll down and we roll back up, hey, you're going to see another positive move from Tesla, able to go maybe a little bit higher if we get some kind of pullback. So are we going to reverse down right away? I don't know necessarily, right? Anything can happen in the stock market, but I'm paying attention to the signals, and right now it's telling me Tesla's going to pull back very, very soon. And then I just want to see if that thing's going to swing back up. Very, very simple with that. Amazon, this one actually made the upward move. Okay, so you see the upward move. We were kind of in that 2 hour spot where we're kind of piling up here, and we saw this big move as we consolidated at this level. Now we've popped up. The problem here was, what did you have at the top? You had that 2 hour divergence across the way, and we've only been pulling back with time. So notice that we have pulled back, just in a different form. We didn't pull back with the price action, we pulled back with time. So that tells me if this 2 hour rotates up at any time, hey, we can see a positive move. We can go towards that weekly expected move. So maybe I want to go into a 30 minute. I want to see what this thing looks like. And as you can see, we're right by the center line. So as of right now for the 30 minute, you would say it's kind of a 50-50 shot, whether it's going to break through resistance and head higher. Watch for that 2 hour to curl up. But as of right now, it could have a 50-50 shot to actually drop down, and that's just because you're right on the center line. Now, you would give a slight edge to the bulls here just because you are in positive territory with that indicator pointing up. You have the RSI above the center line here, so boom, an upside move can happen, but I'd just be very cautious as the SPY and the Qs are both making some sort of reversal signals. You have to pay attention to the individual stocks because, like I said, and it's playing out kind of how we talked about 2 weeks ago, where you'll have days where 4 stocks are going down, 4 are going up, and then 6 stocks are going down and 2 are holding the market up, and then you see all of them go up at the same time, causing that SPY and the Qs to hit those weekly ranges. So it looks like it's playing out in that fashion. Just be aware of Amazon in this area, just because it's been screaming higher for some time. You have a little divergences here, and it looks like some kind of pullback could be coming for this 2 hour chart. If not, then it's going to curl up and you're going to see another positive move as you are no longer overbought. So very interesting there. Nvidia breaking to the upside, going above its weekly expected move. Very good move from Nvidia. This here, we really have to look at on a 30 minute, but right now it would say, hey, I'm getting overbought. It's been overbought plenty higher than this, guys, so it can just keep going. That's very important to note. But on the 30 minute, what are we noticing here? Well, we do have some wonky divergences across the way, and we're outside of the weekly expected move. So we're kind of at a point where we've moved sideways a little bit. Are we going to keep seeing crazy stuff, or is that going to eventually give us that 2 hour pullback to get close to that center line, maybe curl up on the 30 minute or something like that? That's what I'd pay attention to for Nvidia. As of right now, the daily, not able to cross up. So you get one more day of positivity, you might have daily momentum with you, and Nvidia can see something crazy. I want you to be aware of that. Nvidia does not have to drop down by any means with this going on, it can just get that momentum to really curl up. It's not even over on the daily scale. So if we wanted to go make that divergence on the daily scale, that would be interesting. We'd have to see what's going to happen with Nvidia after it creates some kind of daily divergence. We'll pay attention if that's able to happen. As of right now, you're outside of the weekly expected move, so you do have a 68% chance to land below where we're at right now by Friday close, but we've seen some crazy stuff, so make sure to follow your signals very closely. AMD, this is one that I was posting to Patreon because this one looks pretty good as far as divergence goes, because you see it on the MACD, we see it on the RSI kind of flat here at the same time. So that tells me some kind of pullback could be coming. Right now, it looks like we're trying to see one more breakthrough of that weekly expected move, but you do have this downward move, which can roll over to our chart. So we see the divergence on the MACD and RSI. So now we go over to a 2-hour. Where's that thing? Well, it is way up high, and you have that divergence proven right there on the RSI here. So some kind of pullback, even if we do see a pop higher, I do expect a pullback soon from AMD to drop to lower levels in order to maybe pull back into a curl up, a swing trade up in the future. I'm still talking about a pullback here. I'm not talking about some kind of major top. I just think we're going to see things pull back for a little bit from how things are looking this week. That's what the probabilities of this happening seem like in that direction. Doesn't mean we can't see something crazy to the upside, right? It doesn't mean we can't. I'm just saying that's what it looks like to me at this moment. Meta, this one here, 2-hour, looks like, pullback looks like the most likely scenario, but is that pullback already done? Because the 30-minute looks like this really would have rounded you out, and you might be confirming another move higher. But as of right now, if you need a more of a pullback on the 2-hour, it would make sense to pull back down to lower levels, get by that center line, kind of like we did right here. You notice we go up to this level that we're at right now. What does it do? It pulls back to the center line. Ooh, pull back to the center line, crosses up. Okay, positivity. And then we curl down, we cross up, positivity. Okay, so that's overall what's going on here, and I think that has a good shot to happen again right here for Meta. As we go into the shorter time frames, I just wanted to show you how this looks a little bit like a lower high. Okay, so this is really where you want to pay attention, because if this 30-minute crosses over, look how close it is to going negative. This is a probability that says, hey, there is a little bit higher probability with this crossover rather than this one. This one, low probability of reversing that trend. This one, little bit more likely to reverse that trend and cause some negativity over time. And then you want to see maybe we create some kind of divergence that then gives us that base for the 2-hour to curl back up later on. So pay attention to that for Meta. Now let's go over and get into AMC and GME. Remember, AMC, we tell you this a lot. We say when that 30-minute crosses over, we've done our research on this. When the 30-minute crosses over, that says we are in pullback mode, and you want to look for that to turn back up and go positive. That has not happened yet. So very important to note that has not happened yet. You do have daily momentum behind you, but you're not curled up on the short time frame. So that's important. And the bad thing that happened today was the 2-hour was able to cross over, telling us we're actually in a 2-hour pullback as of right now for AMC. So as of right now, more pullback is the most likely option for what momentum is telling you. It's telling you, hey, we are in a pullback. It doesn't say it's dead. It doesn't mean like it's over for AMC in any way. It's still in positive territory, which is a great thing, but it is telling you we are pulling back now, and you want to see if that 2-hour can rotate back up. The good part is you still have daily momentum with you. That's a great thing, but if we experience too much of a pullback, well, that daily can start to roll over, and maybe we see some more negativity and we go down towards that 437 level that we've talked about a lot in the past. So just pay attention to that going forward. GME, this one here, great move initially, and then this is what we posted to Patreon. See if that bar can hold by the end of the day. It didn't. It did not hold. It faded by the end of the day. So you have to see how the MACD is not able to cross up in positive territory for the daily chart. This is really what you need to get GME going. And the last time we pointed this out was right here. And the next day, boom, big move. So you need that again. We did not get it as of right now. If we go into a 2-hour, we're going to notice something here. A little bit different from AMC. It's positive, in positive territory. It has not curled over yet, but that could be coming. So if this crosses over, that is telling you, hey, we're in a 2-hour pullback. And then it's almost saying, hey, there is a chance that that's a little bit more dramatic. So there is a chance here that GME, GameStop, goes all the way back down to something like 2250 before that's able to base out again and curl back up on this MACD and go positive. But as of right now, still positive on this. So I have to say good things about it until I see that thing actually curl over on the at least down here on the RSI, you know what I mean? So the 30-minute, we'll break that down real quick. What's it telling you as of right now? It's saying we are in a pullback, and look where that pullback starts to happen, right towards that weekly expected move. So just a little bit off of this weekly expected move, going to a high of 26.45, and notice that the actual expected move was 26.68. So it's right in that area. We start to pull back, which tells you, hey, this isn't the moment, but if we can turn around at any time, maybe we just fill the gap and we're able to turn up. That would be a great sign. But as of right now, you have to say, this is a pullback signal until that turns back up. This says downward price action until this is able to turn up one more time. And the best example is this recent bar right here. It turned down. That said pullback, pullback, pullback. Look what we did. We pulled back. And then we see that cross up on this bar and positivity comes. You're looking for a moment like that for GME to head higher. Now, one thing I real quickly at the end of this video wanted to point out was volatility. Look at that thing really ramping up towards the end of the day. The key thing here is the daily is turned up and it has divergence and it's trying to go positive. So be very cautious because volatility could be here as far as tomorrow goes. And if we look at the weekly scale, this is about 1 week of positivity away from turning up with a bunch of divergences down here. You can see it on your MACD, very clean divergences here for the weekly scale. Something we've been mentioning was a divergence down towards 12.12 to really turn up this weekly scale to see some kind of top. I'm not saying this can't be a major top. I just think there's going to be some kind of push higher, and then push higher for volatility, a push lower for the market, and then we see one maybe retest, and then volatility might be fully back into this market. So pay attention to your signals out there. That's the best advice I can give. It looks like volatility, even though everyone's happy about it, it's like everyone's happy. The SPY's at higher levels again. It's up 1%. That's awesome. It's at a weekly expected move, but subtly behind the curtain, we see volatility starting to ramp up. So just be cautious. The best advice that anyone can give, right? When you're trying to learn about momentum and stuff and learn how to trade, is manage your risk. It really is one of the biggest things. It will set you apart from a lot of traders out there. Manage your risk and know about your position sizing in times like this where we could be approaching some kind of crash territory. It's very important to understand that. As of right now, it really looks like a lot of things are saying we look like at least some kind of 2-hour pullback is coming in the next few days. And other than that, it looks like GME and AMC are even pulling back right now. So you want to see those things turn back up in order to see something big happen. The best part is we're up by weekly expected moves. So let's see what happens going forward. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I appreciate you guys liking, subscribing. You guys are always fantastic. And I just look forward to coming out and streaming with you guys tomorrow morning. I'm really excited for it. I think we're going to have a fun couple of days here going forward. So thank you guys for watching. Really appreciate it. Good luck with your trades for the rest of the week. And I will see you tomorrow morning. Peace.